Okay. So last night the president gave a 90-minute speech. It was in the evening, but it wasn't at midnight Eastern time. And I read a ton of stuff this morning. I didn't even see him quoted almost anywhere. So before we talk about what he said, Dan, why, at a time when there's a lot of focus on what the president's thinking, and he talked about trade and reconciliation, a bunch of stuff, why did no one cover his speech?
Well, I think the politicos and stuff of the world did because I saw it included in everything this morning. The Axios is look. I think it may be two things.
I mean, barely,
Yeah.
barely.
Well, so I think one of it may be Trump talks a lot. It's not like we hadn't heard from him all day yesterday or all week. Like we're hearing from him almost every few hours, either on X or at the microphone. So I think to some extent, I wonder a little bit. It was a political event. Traditionally, the media doesn't really cover those things. They're usually not news making because it's just like a, ho hum speech and the principal gets out. But you're right. He went for 90 minutes and some of what he said was quite entertaining.
It's not, it's as far as I saw, it's not in the Washington Post, it's not in the
Yep.
New York Times, it's not in the Wall Street Journal. Sean, why do you think that is?
It's a fascinating question. Yesterday, I was watching Caroline Brief and uh, I was in an office that had the quad up, and about 12, 15 minutes in, CNN was the first one to break away, then an MSNBC, and Fox was the only of the three major networks, the one that carried it. And I think that I think part of this is they don't want, they are reverting back to that Trump derangement syndrome of I don't want to cover it. The idea that the president of the United States, at a time when we are potentially going to have one of the worst days in the market, doesn't want to take the president live
Yeah.
is, to me, I mean, you have to stop. Every time the press talks about press freedom, press access, they're full of crap.
Well,
The
I don't
idea
know
that
if it's that they
full
strategically.
access, you didn't see for 4 years the last president of the United States so much as do a wellness check. And now you have the president of the United States go out there and give you his take on what he's about to do on one of the biggest financial, in the prelude to one of the biggest financial days, and they wouldn't take it. They wouldn't talk about it. You can only surmise that the reason that they don't want to is because they don't want you to know. They
Oh,
don't want you to see the other side of the story. After watching and perusing some of the morning shows this morning, it is unbelievable how one-sided it is. Like, the only reason this is doing this is because Trump is an alien that loves Nazis. He's a horrible person, and here's all the people that will suffer because of his decisions. It is just abysmal how bad the media is right now.
I disagree completely that this was an intentional. Let's just not put him
What
and
do you
give
think
him.
that, like, the Gilmore Girls was sort of, the ratings were
I
higher?
just look. They're covering them for hours and hours every single day. Like they are putting them up, and I think at some point you make a decision. Are we going to carry the NRCC live, which is not, Sean, you would
Fine,
admit.
don't
I
carry it live,
don't
but
carry
put
it
it on
live,
MS.
but I don't know how he's not quoted. I don't know. I don't know
Well,
the answer. I don't know the answer. I think you both are partly right, but I don't really
can I
understand it.
ask
All right.
both you, did he
Yeah.
say anything last night new
Yes.
other than he
Yes.
said it entertainingly?
No. So here's something he said new.
Okay.
Get ready. Please get ready to play number 104. He had a bunch of House Republicans over to the White House.
Yep.
And as Sean said, they didn't get as many votes back yesterday as we were expecting. And I'm revising my position now. I'm not sure they're going to be able to vote this week. Doesn't mean they'll never vote. But if they don't vote this week, the thing's going to be in a much different place than I had thought yesterday. So last night, one of the things the president did, obviously speaking to the NRCC, so he's saying, I'm here raising you guys tens of millions of dollars. You're going to have to vote for the Senate reconciliation package. Here's the president last night making that point, 104, in an in-your-face manner.
And they have to do this. They have to get there, and I think we are there. We had a great meeting today. I think we are there. But just in case there are a couple of Republicans out there, you just got to get there. Close your eyes and get there. It's a phenomenal bill. Stop grandstanding. Just stop grandstanding.
So, Dan, to answer your question, at a time when the president's entire legislative agenda is on the line before his own party, at a time when it's assumed that they will bend the knee to him and give him what he wants, he has a meeting, he doesn't get the votes, and then he goes into their place for their fundraiser and he confronts them saying, stop grandstanding, not with honey, but with vinegar and a stick, saying, you have to vote this way. I don't know much about the news business. That's news to me.
I mean, but is it? because he's been very consistent about. Like, that's my point. He didn't make news with that statement. There was no ambiguity.
He did, Dan. He didn't say, I'm not going to talk about it because there are private negotiations still going on. He didn't say, here's all the reasons they should vote for it. He called them grandstanders, and he said they have to vote for the bill. That's news. That was his play on this question last night before the NRCC. It's news.
I know, but Mark, he's been saying all week, they're going to do it. They have to do it. It's our beautiful. So, I mean, that's my point. It was entertaining. And like, I hear you, the way he did it and the words he used.
It's news.
But hold on. I mean, but let's back up to a national audience. A reconciliation bill that's like in step 2 of 10 is going to come to the Rules Committee to go to the floor to then start the big negotiation for the actual bill. Respectfully, Mark, I don't think the average American is like, it is not the bill to become law. It is a process vote first up, and they're struggling. And so I think if they go to the Rules Committee and they yank it, that will be news, because then, to your point, there's a real problem. Like, I hear you guys that maybe the Beltway and others would have alluded to it a little bit more, but there was nothing there last night that to me was like, oh boy.
Sean.
Again, all I'll just say is that I agree with Mark. It's not good news, right? The idea that the president of the United States is going to the NRCC and saying, "Hey, get your act together, boys and girls." Like, that is news. Again, that's not, "Hey, good job that you got it done today." Like, pat on the back. It's actually, "Hey, I'm going to come after you." Like, I actually took that as, I'm not playing. I will come after you. I will come out. I mean, like,
I agree.
Like, if I was sitting in the audience last night and I had been a no, I would have just walked up to Emmer and been like, "Hey, change my mind. I'm with you.